I would wake up with Dr. Joe, I would have lunch with Dr. Joe, watching the progresses, I would have dinner with Dr. Joe, and I would go to bed with Dr. Joe between meditations, listening to the books. And one day it hit me. He says it over and over. People that heal do the meditations to change, not to heal. I've been on a 4.5-year journey with metastatic breast cancer. I actually went to the doctor a 1.5 years after I found out I had a lump in my breast because I did not want to do anything medical. And at that moment, I faced a double mastectomy, removing all the lymph nodes, doing chemo and radiation. And I walked away and I said, no, that's not for me. Unfortunately, this started growing so much that it punctured the skin. It became what's called fungating melanoma. It's actually quite rare, only 5% turn into that. So what I started to face then was seeing this tumor that was ulcerated and that was bleeding, and actually the bleeding started to turn into hemorrhaging and horrible smell and dressings that I had to change all the time and excruciating pain. So I went to the doctor one more time. I'm like, okay, let's just remove the breast, because at that point I became suicidal because of the pain. And to my surprise, the doctor said, this is not operable. Then suddenly Dr. Joe came back into my life. And I have to say, I went all in. I watched testimonials every day. I was meditating 5 hours a day. I would wake up with Dr. Joe. I would have lunch with Dr. Joe, watching the progresses. I would have dinner with Dr. Joe, and I would go to bed with Dr. Joe between meditations, listening to the books. And one day it hit me. He says it over and over. People that heal do the meditations to change, not to heal. So I started doing the work to change. And believe me, the pain was so horrible. No pain med would even touch it. But I would do even the meditations. Sometimes I wasn't up the whole night because I couldn't sleep, and I was on the couch for 9 months, propped up. So I would do the meditations in the middle of the night. So literally it was 24/7. I mean, I was furious because of this pain. I had rage. I had every reason to be victimized because I didn't even care about the cancer. I just wanted the pain to go away. And all of a sudden I realized, yes, I was in pain, but I wasn't angry anymore. I would react, but I wouldn't stay in the reactions anymore. I was filled with so much gratitude because I knew, actually from the very beginning, that's why I didn't do medical, that my soul chose this experience for a reason. And this was here to show me something. In July of this year, I had a remote coherence healing with the Coherent Heart in Australia. And I started having this profound healing, this white light coming out of me, and then opening up to the sky. And all of a sudden I look up and I see Jesus. And this was the second time he came to me. I'm not religious. And he told me, it is done, it is done, it is done. And I said, but why you? And he said, because I've always been with you. And I said, but I don't know you. And he says to me, but I know you. And I said, so this is 4 years into it. Why did this take so long? And he said, because you had to learn love. About 10 days later, I had a very severe hemorrhaging. It put me in a wheelchair, and several hemorrhagings after that. And I was this close to losing my life. And my husband, that kept on looking for treatments, actually found a treatment in Mexico that was what I was looking for, directly into the tumor. And I had a miracle. We did that treatment, and within a month of finishing that treatment, that was only 10 days, we went back, and the nurses took off my dressings, and the doctor looked at me like, what happened? I said, why are you so surprised? I thought you were going to lose your breast completely because the cancer with the type of tumor. So I haven't mentioned the tumor I had at that point was 17 centimeters. It was the size of a melon. And so then they took me to do the scan, and both of the doctors called my husband. You have to look at this. And they're measuring on the screen, comparing the before and after. This is only 4 weeks after. And the doctor says, the reduction is 82%. 8 weeks after this treatment, I thought I was going back for another treatment, and there was nothing to treat. The tumor was completely gone.